All right, guys, so today we're about 3 days out. It's Thursday, like freaking 6:30 in the morning, and I'm out here messing with this car. So we still have the issue that our alternator wasn't working when I started the car and tested it yesterday. It's a little bit too early to start the car and do any more tests. So kind of preemptively, what I'm doing right now is making up a ground wire from the back of the alternator that's going to go direct to the battery. So I just kind of took a little wire, put a couple leads on the back, and this is going to go directly from the alternator to the battery. And the reason why is I just want to make sure, when I looked at a lot of the Ford diagrams, they do show like a ground on the back, but even though I guess originally from the factory it didn't have that, but I'm just wondering multiple things. Since our application, maybe I don't have like a great, engine to chassis ground or something. So I just want to kind of make sure that's eliminated. It only took 5 minutes to make. So I just want to make sure that alternator is fully grounded directly to the battery like it should be. I was also thinking like maybe because my brackets are powder coated, maybe that's like not giving a good ground to the alternator. So we're going to try that first, and then I'll have to wait a little while to get a little bit later in the day so I can start the car. We'll see if that fixes the alternator issue. If not, then my next step is I'm going to try to run just like an extra wire to that L terminal that's a switch 12 volt power, right? And I think I'm just going to vampire clip it on, at least for my testing purpose, vampire clip it to the existing wire, and then just run, maybe even just run it to, I think there's one of these fuses right here is switch 12 volts. Maybe I'll just jump it right to that fuse just to see if that activates and turns on the alternator. If it does, then we can kind of hardwire it all in. So yeah, we'll see. Also, there's an alternator rebuild shop that I know is really good. They rebuilt the alternator for the death cart, but they don't open for a little while, till 8:30 or something. So I'm going to try to call them later too, just to kind of ask them a couple questions. So hopefully we can get this figured out. We also need to try to get the oil catch can installed, but that's really not, that could happen tomorrow, so it's not super important today. But today I definitely need this alternator because I want to be able to do some driving and tuning. I don't want the car to die while we're freaking driving this thing. Now with this wire, this ground wire, so here's where it connects on the back of the alternator. This was just an open, threaded hole, so I just found a bolt. And then I basically got the wire running along the same path as our alternator harness. Eventually, if it works, I'll tape it up. But just in case if I have to break into the alternator harness to do a splice or something, I'm not going to tape it all together just yet. And it runs down, and then I've got it underneath the battery tray, and then it's wet right here. So I'm going to go ahead and pop the battery back in. We'll get it hooked up. So we got this thing all installed. I put a little label on it just so I know this is my alternator wire. That's for the Holly ground, so that should be good to go. So we'll test this in a little bit once it gets a little bit later outside. All right, next thing we're doing is I pulled out the #1 spark plug. The tuner just wanted to have a look at it. So this is what it looks like after just a bunch of idling. This is with the 85. I mean, we did run it with gas, at first too, but I think it actually looked a lot cleaner, if I remember right, last time I pulled them out with the gas stuff. But we did a whole bunch of idling, for a couple hours last time, so that's obviously why, right? So once we get driving, that should, get some heat in there, blow them out. Also, he wanted me just to verify that the balancer was showing the correct, top dead center. So I've got a little check tool. Probably can't see it right there, but basically just it's got a 14 millimeter thread, just like a spark plug. It goes in, and then there's a thread inside of it that you can adjust in and out. So, so basically I set it just before top dead center. I mean, literally like basically, well, actually no, I set it kind of right at 0, and then threaded it all the way in. And then I was able to still go, to the left, to the right, without it hitting the piston, right? So then we know that's the very top, right? Because if it can still spin and it's only very touching at the top, then we're good. So we got that all verified, so that way we know our timing is good. We did already sync it with the static timing setting last week on the Holly, so we know all that's good to freaking go. Here's that tool. So again, just threads right in, just like a spark plug. You seat it, and then you can adjust this in and out to be able to check where your piston's at for top dead center. So really cheap, inexpensive tool. Toss it in the toolbox. This costs like $10 on Amazon. Links down below. All right, guys, so I had to go drop my daughter at school. I just got back. I decided to start the car just to see what we got and check it out. With that ground now put on, we must have had a bad ground because now we are getting 14.1, 14.2 volts. So, so yeah, seems like maybe that was our issue. We just didn't have a good ground from the alternator, which from the factory, maybe they don't put a ground because there's so many other good grounds, but you know, there's powder coated stuff, so maybe that caused an issue with getting a good ground. But it seems like, yeah, it seems like we fixed our issue now. We're getting charging voltage. So freaking awesome! All right, now that we know this freaking alternator works and the issue is the ground and not necessarily the alternator itself, I'm pretty freaking tempted to stick back in my original alternator because I paid a hefty price, you know, to get this stupid thing powder coated, and then I could actually just return this one to Amazon, save me whatever, 120 bucks, whatever it costs. So I think I'm gonna give that a shot because it probably will literally take me like 10 minutes to swap it out. All right, boys, our black alternator does work. So all our issue was that ground. So that's something to keep in mind if you got like powder coated brackets and stuff. That powder coat must not have been allowing the alternator to make a good ground, right? So now we got it though. We got our alternator working, baby. Freaking awesome. All right, so I got this thing on the ground. I think it's the first time it's been all the way on the ground in quite a while. Got those fender covers off. I got this charge pipe back on. So one thing I wanted to do was start the car, let it idle, kind of rev it. I just want to make sure, like in vacuum and stuff at higher RPM, that this thing's not going to like suck this this thing in because it is really, really big, the silicone. And then we have not ever tried yet, you know, to push in the clutch, you know, and see if this thing actually moves under its own power since doing the new clutch. So that's first and foremost. I need to figure that out. Let's just make sure that it rolls. Depending how things go, maybe I'll take it down the driveway and back because it does seem to be running okay. I mean, obviously we'll just kind of idle it down, but I just want to see what happens. And so anyway, let's give it a shot. All right, so I don't see anything weird happening with our silicone couplers, so I think that's fine. Still getting 14 volts on the battery, so that's cool. The other thing I need to verify is that our new fuel pressure sensor is even working, so I need the laptop for that. But anyway, before we do that, let's go take this thing. Let's just see if it moves under its own power. I probably need to turn the fuel pressure down. It's like 60. According to that gauge, pretty close to 60, 58. I adjusted it down last week, but that doesn't seem to have worked. Ugh. Definitely need a new shifter. Okay, that's forward. How do I get reverse? Still not reverse. Great. Another problem. This car has always been a little finicky to get it into reverse. I don't have a lot of room to go forward, so that's why I'm pushing it back a little bit just to see if that'll help us get it. Nope. Wow, this is really annoying. All right, so I can't get reverse, and I think it's because of that shifter. If you guys remember, this is like the cheapest shifter you could find on Amazon. It was like 40 bucks, maybe even less. And what I did was I did replace one of the springs because it was too light. It was way too kind of sloppy, wouldn't even really hold it in the middle. I replaced the springs with the thicker ones. It seems much better now, but now I can't get reverse. So it could just be too, there is an adjustment screw on the one side, so it just needs to probably go over a little bit more. So I'm gonna have to mess with that. I'm gonna look on freaking Marketplace too. If someone's selling like some kind of used, name brand shifter like a Hurst or something, and it's $100, I might just go see if I can buy that real quick today, swap it on in, because it just takes 10 minutes. So, but yeah, have a look at the freaking car. These, fender covers have been on for what, 7 months, like straight. So haven't had a chance to look at the car in a long, long time, and it just, man, it looks awesome. I'm a little bit sad. I wanted to, well, eventually I will. I'm going to fabricate probably a piece of stainless or aluminum, like a little cover plate for all this, but we don't have time for that now. But the car is very, very low. So, oh man. I mean, for some of you guys, I know you like, fenders touching the tire, but for me, it's low, man. So I would like the back to be a little lower. I did get some 1-inch lowering springs that will swap out. We're going to basically pull the whole rear end of the car, swap the gears, swap the, I got liquid drag shocks, so we'll replace the shocks, the springs. I've got like some kind of upper and lower torque arms or control arms, upper and lower control arms, adjustable ones. So all that stuff will get done eventually, but we just need to get this thing tuned. I'm also going to run to the parts store, see if I can't get some spark plugs, see if I can't swap them out before the tune session, just to make sure we got some fresh plugs in there. But otherwise, going forward seemed fine. I can't get reverse, which is a little bit annoying because I need to back it out of here. So maybe I'll actually push it back if I can get going, and then I can actually just drive it down the driveway, do a turnaround, and then come right back. So I might give that a shot. So I just got back from the auto parts store. I grabbed some spark plugs, and I was able to return that old alternator, so that's freaking awesome. But I did get some brand new NGK BKR7E, which is stock number 4644. So it's just kind of a cheaper nickel plug. I've got some iridiums in there right now, but like I showed you guys, they look a little bit fouled, so the tuner wanted to have fresh plugs, so I'm going to toss in some new plugs. I also got the shifter out of here. So the motor is still a little bit warm actually, so I think while that's still cooling down a little bit, I got this out. This is the old one, so I'm just going to go ahead and put the stock one back in for now, just to see if that, I'm guessing that's going to fix our issue. But I've got to unbolt these real quick, transfer this all over, and then we can get this thing back in, put a little fresh RTV, be good to go. Man, I put a little bit, just a small amount of black RTV like you guys can see, and it was stuck on there. So I had to jack the car back up, go underneath, and then, take a hammer and hammer the lip off of this thing. So RTV is no joke. I'm going to put that back on, get this rolling. All right, so we got our shifter all back in. I can't test it yet, still on jack stands. I did tighten up the exhaust as well. And one of the stupid On3, the shitty On3 clamps, I don't know. One of these mid-pipe ones that was already together, I went to go just try to tighten it, and it just snapped right off. So it's still stuck on there. And I do have an extra On3 clamp because we bought the extra brand new ones the other day, but it's held on there. So I'm not sure if I want to even replace it or just leave it. So not sure, but anyway, motor's good to go. So, I mean, this is fine for today. I can always replace that tomorrow, but I want to get these plugs swapped out, and the motor's just a little bit warm, but not very hot, so I can go ahead and get these things swapped out right now. All right, so here are the spark plugs. So I labeled them cylinders 1 through 8. So basically you can see where they're all, they're all pretty carbon fouled right now, except for number 6. That's the only one that looked a bit cleaner. So not sure if that one's getting less fuel or something, but it could have just came back cleaned up. But I think these are fine. Definitely keeping these as spares. They're basically brand new plugs, right? So I told the tuner, I think if we just drove the thing and stuff, these plugs would clear right up. They'd be fine again. So, but he was a little bit worried. Plus, we're paying by the hour here, right? So, so we don't want to have any screw ups. So I'm going to put these all back in the boxes. We'll take these with us on power tour. And surprisingly, it wasn't bad to change the spark plugs. I thought it was going to be a real big pain in the butt, but not too bad at all. Just maybe took me 10 minutes. So that's all good. So as of now, I think the car is good. We got fuel pressure set. We got a working alternator. Everything should be good to go. I still haven't checked the reverse, but I do have the shifter all installed. Quick update for you guys on the shifter. So this is the factory OEM shifter, and watch this thing. That's fourth. Goes right into freaking reverse, no problem. Second, fourth, reverse. So that other shifter, man, I mean, I wish that thing would work for 40 bucks, but, and there's really no adjustment side to side other than the springs. The other adjustment I was thinking is forward and back. So yeah, I don't know. It worked fine with the lighter springs, but then it was just way too sloppy. It wouldn't even stay in the middle. I mean, this thing feels freaking huge, right? Huge ass throws, but at least it's really nice, you know, and direct and everything you want it to be. So, yeah. So I guess for a shifter, got to go with some quality stuff, you know? So I'm going to be on the lookout for a nice used one. All right, so we got like 45 minutes left before tuning starts. I think I can get this thing done. So I actually was looking over here, and I think I got enough space to actually fit it in the engine bay right here. So I can just kind of slide it down, and top of the filter would be right about here, which would be perfect. And then I can just slide it in and out. I do have some Velcro. I might even just get some Velcro, put some Velcro there just to help hold it in place. Plus, once the lines come and get, the AN lines come and get attached, I mean, that'll hold it really good. So that's a perfect spot. I was thinking about trying to put it like on the inside of the wheel well, but that would be a pain every time I wanted to drain the oil and stuff. I'd have to come and mess with it. So this will be ideal. Plus, if there's any crazy blow-by happening coming out of the motor, we'll be able to see it. So pretty stoked. The only thing is I need to modify to basically cut this bracket off on each side. So I'll have no bracket. So in case this doesn't work, I'm going to be screwed. I'd have to re-weld the aluminum or re-TIG weld it on. So let's hope it works. But I'm going to cut this off, see if we can slide it in, and then we can quickly make up a couple lines, get those ran, and then that's good to go. I am going to go ahead and mess with the V-band. Let me see if I can swap that out. But then that's going to be it. We're going to wait for the call in about an hour. All right, guys, we just got finished with 2 hours of tuning, and what a freaking whirlwind. So we tuned it real quick, then we went on the road for basically probably an hour and 45 minutes, which is a lot of just back and forth. So many kind of little issues with the car. So one of them, the main one being the alignment. It needs an alignment super bad. The freaking tires were howling the whole time. Look at what they did. Just have a look. Look at this, dude. The alignment is so bad. That's freaking tire. Look at that. It's like it did a front burnout. So these are definitely scrubbing real hard. So I'm gonna go get an alignment tomorrow. So that's real bad. I don't know, we need to get that fixed right away because you can't even hear anything because it's so freaking loud. The sound of the tires, just both sides squealing. So get that addressed tomorrow. We also had a little bit of valve cover leakage over on this side and really bad on this side. Not sure exactly if it is just the valve cover gasket. I don't think it is. I think it's actually where I've got these holes. So those 3 little holes that have the bosses that are holding these brackets, right? Because there's holes that actually go through the valve cover. So I'm sort of kicking myself now, thinking like, man, I probably should have put some kind of RTV or something, right? Some kind of sealant. But I did tighten them. So on this side, it was only leaking right about here. So I think it was just leaking from that bolt hole, and that one was a little bit like not loose, but I was able to tighten it. So I tightened that one. This side's leaking like same thing. That one, but I think it's also leaking there too. So tightened all this stuff. Hopefully that's good. I can definitely hear now after doing like a bunch of pulls and stuff. These freaking header gaskets are leaking. So that's a big bummer because, dude, I do not ever want to take this stuff off again. It was horrible. So I'm going to let it cool down tomorrow morning or whatever. I'll probably try to tighten those back down some more. You know, maybe they just work their way loose a little bit. We'll tighten them. We'll see. All the exhaust stuff, we'll kind of tighten it again. See if that helps. But positive, there was no radiator fluid leaks, so I got all that stuff good. I still need to burp it, though, because I'm sure it's not topped off. I need to just let it idle, go, blah, blah, blah. So what you guys really care about is how it drove. So still needs a lot of freaking work. There were some really bad issues from like 1500 to like 2500 with like some stumbling, some backfiring issues. So the tuner had to turn off the cam signal of the dual sync, and then boom, that freaking instantly made it good. But we wasted like 30 minutes probably driving around, you know, until we kind of figured that out. He was adding fuel, taking away fuel, blah, blah, blah. And then the car was driving really good. But then we got into, at the end of it, we did a couple full throttle pulls, and we only made it up to like 5,000 RPM, 5,500. And then he said it looked like we were running out of fuel. So anyway, then we got back, fuel pressure had gone from like 43, 44 when we started, and it was like at 18 PSI. So that was really weird. Now my gas gauge was showing me about a quarter tank left. I don't know if that's maybe erroneous because we did put in a new fuel sending unit when we swapped out the fuel pump, or could we possibly have a fuel pump that's like gone bad? I would lean, or is it just out of gas, right? I'm kind of leaning more towards like the sending unit's just bad and we just need more gas. But I need to run to the store later, get 5 more gallons of E85. We'll toss that into the Mustang and then we can kind of see. Hopefully that's it. And then I can readjust it, fix it. Otherwise, if it's a fuel pump, man, there's no way we're getting a new fuel pump replaced. I'm like, at this point, I don't even want to like look at this car. So I'm gonna get the alignment tomorrow. I'll put some gas in maybe tonight. If not, maybe tomorrow morning. We'll get the gas, we'll see. What's weird though too is like, it still starts and runs, even though it's showing like 10 pounds of fuel pressure or something weird, you know, because I had to move the car in the driveway. Anyway, so that's just all guessing. So are we gonna make the power tour? I'm feeling like probably a no with this car right now. That's when it was out there earlier cruising. I mean, it was cruising pretty good. If I just stay out of boost, don't floor it, I think it would be okay. But we need to get the alignment done to really see. That's first and foremost. Oh, the freaking exhaust. So the whole exhaust is like definitely too low, or just the front of the car is too low. Some of the V-band clamps I can move around because I have like the V-band on the bottom. So I need to move it because, dude, I was scraping all over the place. So I probably should go ahead and raise the front end of the car up like 1 inch just to give us a little bit more clearance, and then readjust those exhaust pieces and then see if that helps. But man, still done so much. Today was a long ass day. Basically worked on this thing almost all day, right? But still feel like there's so much more to do, so much we don't know. So what a pain. Like for real, I don't know if a camera picks it up, but like that is tire, front tire, all over the rear of the car. Like the freaking tires in the front were just, you know, the alignment's so off. Like it's just like, woo, just tire dust. Just, I mean, it was literally howling. It almost sounded like a wheel bearing or something, but it was the freaking tires. Crazy. Well, we'll get that fixed tomorrow though, hopefully. All right, guys, I think this one has been probably gotten to be a pretty long video, so I'm going to end it right here. So like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll catch you boys on the next one.